We're going to be on page Tafresh Nun Dalet. In my look through this in the Tiv, it seems to be mostly he's repeating what's down below. If we see, so I'm just going to read up above, and then see how far we could get into this. So he's a little roundup idea here, maybe, with some nuance that we might get into later. He says, Sham nizboyer od gavonis yehei shmei rabav gavonis mixa samenim. So we're going to get to that. Let's see what he says. Klal kol hadavarim hu sha'al yedecha ba'ara esrei v'esrim v'shmona v'arbaim v'shnayim osius v'chein shal Teves sheyesh b'kaddish hazeh asher hem keneged ha'arbacha v'esrim u'shmona v'arbaim v'shnayim, all of those different combinations that we've been working on, shel chavaya the av kanizkar, and these are only vaya of av. On the ma'ala mishnei osius vav k, what we're doing here is we're elevating these two letters. It's significant that he wrote it like this, but I don't know what the significance is. You know, there's a lot of ways to write vav, especially if you're dealing with av. It should be vav yud vav, k yud. But he says something different. There's nothing down below in number Zion, I think that helps me to understand that. So going on to Adar Ba'ala Mishneh Os is Vav K, Shel Shem Havaya, Haramazim Al Zer Anpin V'Nuk. Hashem Mechem Naflu, so we know from them. So he said from them. He doesn't say they, he says from them. Naflu Achad Asa Nitzutzes Desumal Medekataris Besoka Klipos. So he says that this is, we're focusing on that. V'hem kamisper osius vav k, which is also the same concept, atzman. But on the ma'alam osama, then what we do is we're going to elevate them in shnei osius rishonos with the original two letters, which are yad k. That's what we're trying to do here. The chavaya shehem sod abba v'ima v'naasa, really a complete name, which is a vaya gadol. And he says this is the great. This is the chance of the hey shmei rabba. Yehei Shmei, what was it? Yiskadal v'Yiskadash. There you go. Okay, like that. You're making the name great. Shmei Rabbah. So going on. So he says here, V'zech v'Yiskada v'Yiskada Shmei Rabbah. He says it. Ignigdal, because it grows. It's grown. It grows. V'Allah alakadusha nikra yud k, which is beyond. He said previously that this world doesn't have that, so you have to try to unite it. Because up until now, it was just the name Yud K by itself. And what we're going to do is V'ata Shem Yud K Na'asa Gadol, but it is, you know, I would thought that he would said it the other way, but in other words, the Vav K becomes Gradle because it starts uniting with the Yud K, but he says no, it's the Yud K. As this like is Mayim Nukvin Kana Asa Gadol Zechu Shmei Rabba, that is what making the Shem Yud K Rabba. Ratzalomer Shem Yud K Gadol. He makes the Yud K into something which is really much bigger because it's joining its lower part to it, I guess. Kina Asa Shalema. Reading along, I keep continuing on. He says Gavar Bi'ardo La'el. So we already found out up above, or we explained this previously. Shemitzias HaKaddish hu la'alchus ha'olamos. So what you're trying to do is to elevate worlds. So I've already told you. He called Allah. So all of this elevation, he ayadei shem mab. So we talked about this again. And mab is this magic concept. Sheyesh baruch shlosh pamim yodal. Now it has within it. I thought he was going to maybe tell me something about the word yad, because we have three yads. He's going to say something about that. So whatever the yad is, or the 14 that we're talking about there, that we had a way of showing how the 14 work, or it could be related to the Pashat and the Mali. And we elevate it. So therefore, if you look at the Kaddish, the whole Kaddish, who are Baim V'Shnayim Tevos, it's really 42 letters. So where we say the 42 letters, according to the Kaddish that you're in, what you're talking about here, kahu kavanosa, so then his kavana will change. So let me see if there's something here that we want to look at, but I'm not sure. He says, Kaddish al hodu. Let's talk about that one. Kavod b'shem havaya dema. There's going to be the havaya dema ba'alofim. So maybe that's where he's saying what he's counting vav aleph vav and k aleph. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Is that that's the first thing that you get to? Is that when you're going to be ma'ala using the 42 that comes out of aleph me'arba v'shnaim shalom. Benimsaki shem ben mab shel kavanas HaKaddish. And then shem ben arba v'shnaim. It's not something like this, that you have 42, it's a count of 42. That we know, for example, has to do with, I think it has to do with Olam Yitzira, but he says that's not what's going on in the Kaddish. He says that 42 that you're talking about, that's not what's going on. Rak hu shem arba v'shnaim, and where does it come from? Now this is significant, but I didn't see anything really said about it. He says it has to come mikol chavaya v'havaya kafi makomo out of every havaya itself. In other words, the pashat, the male, and the male ba'ofen zeh. So he said ki arba ba'osis b'shutos. So that's what you do. Shel havaya heim b'bechina achas. So this is the way he wants to try to analyze this. He says, let's take the first part. He says the pashat, right, is a bechina by itself. So just think about the kavanos and how they develop. And he's saying, and then the next one would be that you would have the mole. That's going to be another section. So let me read it again. So this is a second bechina. Then which is the 28. That's 3 different bechinos. Now, what do you want to tell me about this? All right, Nirmaz Shem Ben Mab. So we see that we can have a reference to the Shem Mab. And the easy word, Nirmaz, right? B'shlosha bechinos elu in these 3 different bechinos. Shehem Arba, Eser, Asara, he says Asara, and Esrin B'shmona, and 28. Hari Mab, that makes 42. Okay, so he wants to say that this is the concept. Don't get into any other concept. This is the one. It's the pashat, the mole, and the mole, but it has different possibilities of how to generate that for the asma. Now, I'm not sure how much of this he goes into, so let's see some more. That phrase, that's the 4 tables. Connected the bechinas rishon shehem arba ba'osis the chavai pshuta, which corresponds to those 4 letters of the pashat. He's saying that on those four words that you have to have in mind pashat. Put the word pashat on it in your kavana if you can. And then, so therefore, since you get to that kata, so to speak, and you did that the first 4 words, you're going to have to say Amen. So Yiskadal v'Yiskadash Shemei Rabba Amen. So you're supposed to say that. Kedei la'asos hefresh echod. So this is to show you that this is a section by itself. V'achakach yesh asara tevos. Min Teves ba'alma, from the word the alma on Teves Mashiach, you count up 10. Now you're getting to another section. Ba'alma dibara karuse v'amlek machuse v'yatzba b'chona b'chona Mashiach. All of that. This gets us into the problem. I think I said it wrong before when I was talking about V'yatzma b'chona b'chona Mashiach. I think I did, because he's telling us right here that has to be included. It's not an extra idea. So it's left out of the Ashkenaz, and you have to wonder. I don't know. Go back and look at that more closely, try to figure out why. So he said, or what's what happened there? The answer, but here's your 10. Ki dibara, because if you look at it like this, the phrase dibara, you could really read it 2 different ways, but they make it into 2 words. Dibara hem shtei tevos. They're actually 2 words. Loka osa makorim divra. Divra, make you say like divra. So it's dibara. You have to say it like that. So if you do that, So he said, "V'hare bechinas shtei shnei sheni." There's a second. Excuse me. That's at the second verse. The Sarah Osius Amelech v'lechein tzarek lachzor v'la'anos amen gan pam sheni. So therefore, every time you fix a section, so then you're going to say an amen on that. Kedei la'asos hefresh sheni. So we want to do a 4 with an amen, and then we want to do 10 words after that with the word amen. Okay, let me get a little drink here. Okay, a little drink I had. Now let's go on to, this is where I thought maybe we could look at it a little bit more deeply, but I think maybe we'd also read across the top and then look and see, because I think there might be a little bit meat down in the tiv in some places. This is new. This is something else, because we know that like that. That's how we say it. He says hu tefillah. This is actually tefillah. It's not part of the nusach. Let's look at number ayin. I'll look over there and see what it says. He says v'hine. Go down to the light print. I'm sorry. So he says this part is a tefillah, because it's part of our explanation, let's say, maybe, so to speak, of what we're trying to say. So and then you say amen again. He says this is not the real text of what we want to get to, which is the 4, 10, and the 28. That's not the part of it. Kevin Shachakadesh who al Shevach Shal Makom. So it's excuse me. It's all the concept of Yiskadel, growing it up and making different kind of shvach of the. Boy, I had just a little bit of coffee and my voice suddenly got. Let me drink some water here. Work with the water. Let's say, but here this is a request or a prayer. So therefore we don't consider it a part, I guess he means to say, of the text, translate the text of the Kaddish, and it really has no reference to them. Now let's go back over to the top. We'll read across the top a little bit. And how much time we have? Well, it's just a few minutes. Maybe we'll read across the top one time. Try to get into something. So then after you did the 4, we said then there's a landing there. You had another 10. Min yehesh me rabba ad ba'alma ve'eluheim. So now where are you at? He's going to say it. These are 28 right here. He says, Yehei Shmei Rabba, Mevorach La'olam Alom Elomaya, Yisborach, V'yistaba, V'yispawar, V'yisromam, V'yisnaseh, V'yisadai, V'yisaleh, V'yisalal, Shmei V'gud Shabaricho. Did I say that? Baricho La'elam Min Kol Birchasa, Shivrasa, this is the Sfardi version. Shivrasa, Tushbachasa, V'nechamaza, D'amirim Be'alma. There are 28 words there. So here, when you get to the Alma, the Amiran Ba'alma, and then we say V'imru Amen. So V'hi B'chinas Ashlishi Shal Milui Amilui. So this now you got to 28. So here you go, 28 words. For the Chain Sarak Lachsor V'la'alos of La'anos Amen. So therefore, when we got to the 28, that's the third section. So therefore, we're going to say Amen to the completion of that section, Pam Shlishi. So now we see that we have 3 different times we said Amen. Heim Zulus Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba, not counting that one that you say over there. Bima Oiner Messiahim Lomer Ad Amiram Ba'alma, so if he includes it there, Kodnish Omer Chazan Shmei the Good Shabarichu, Tzark La'anos Kam Pam Cheres Amen. Ba'ofen Shihia Chamisha Amenim, so that there in the end there will be 5. Now that particular part I need to read it more closely, and I think in the interest of time, let's see what we could do. I mean, it's kind of a little bit interesting. This starts on number Ayin Aleph, light print only. He says, the 28 letters, the 28 words rather, Shehei Meschidach bin Teves Yehei Shmei Rabba Ad Teves Ba'alma, Vehein Hamadrega Hashlishi, so this is the third level, Sheb Mab Shehem Koach Osios, Ba'atam Mefarish Arav as a Koach. So now we're saying them all. We'll skip the print, and Vitzarach Iyun, so he says we'll go through this after he went through and ended up on Ba'alma. So he said, listen, you have to look at this. Shahara Yesh Kan Rak 27 Teva Velo Koach. So I didn't count them. I took his word for it. So you have to look at the Govi over there. That what you're supposed to say should Sarach Lomer Min call, which I think we do. So we say min call. Isn't there a time we say me call?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not really developed here, I don't think. B'shtei Teves v'kan shekasav mikol. So here he says mikol, which is one word. But if you made min call, then you got two words. You got the 28. Who toes? So he said, well, let me see. V'kan shekasav mi. So he said that's a toes sofer. But we know that there are times when we do say that. So that's what is that? That is from the Sarsi made tshuva, something like that in there. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's go on a little bit more and see if this develops a little bit better. We're actually running out of time because if we do a little bit more, we won't have anything to see in the two. But I started it, so let's go on with it. So he said, and that is a reference to the Havaya Shal Milui Amilui, and this is the Milui Amilui. So, like I said, and I said it before, is that I'm really searching for the understanding of what the Pashat, the Mali, and the Mali actually contributes, because he says each one of them is like a section by itself. So I want to say, well, what effect does it have? Don't know yet. But, well, I mean, specifically I don't know, but generally you do know because it's an elevation, it's elevating. So he said, Sheesh Behem Koach Osios, so the 28 letters, can they get Koach Tevos Shal KADDISH. But the chain, so he said, so of a kaven Shekan Nigbach of a Berida Shlishi Shal Koach Tevos. The chain Kan Sarak La'ando V'lo Amen Kadei L'Rama. So we know that. So he said, B'pam Shlishi, so v'amar v'zu hi ha'amen ha'shlishi Shal KADDISH. So it gets a little confusing over here, is where he's going to get to 5 now. I say the 5 amenim, and I'm not sure how I understand that. But nimsa shekan yesh lon shlosha pamim amen. Behem keneged shlosha madregos that we talked about, which are the of the mob, which are amen echad, and he's going to mefaret them again. Who achad achar arbetebos, and then he said the second one. We skip over here v'achar eser osios v'revazech b'romas the bedregos shnia. Let me see. Maybe I do need to read this. He said, "Amen zeh hi amen ashlishi shel KADDISH b'nimsa shekan yesh lanu shlosha pamim amen b'hem keneged shlosha bedregos sheyesh b'shem mab." And so he's going to go through the 3 and he's going to say them. Let's read the first one again, because I thought he said one place it's Teves, another place he said it was Osius, but I could be wrong. Who achar arbega b'teva b'zecha b'romas the bedrega. Whoops. I'm in a room with the light just went out. Just went back on again. Oh, wow, Lord. Okay, I guess I have to move around a little bit. So he says, Nimsa shekan yesh lana shlosha pamim amen. The first one is who achar arba b'teva v'zecha v'romas the bedrega rishona shehem arba osius sheyesh b'chavai pashut amen. Achad aser osius, then you go to letters. Then you do 4 words. Then you do 10 letters. V'zecha b'romas the bedrega shnia shehem eser osius amilui shel chavaya, which refers to that. And then you're going to say amen on it. Then you have acher hem acher koach tevos. Now you said 28 words again. V'zecha b'romas the bedrega shlish. Now going on to number Ayin Ches, he said v'shlosha amenim sharav fafaret kan. Hu b'li amen she'omnim achrei tefillah b'chayechon v'yochem she'ol amen yehei shmei rabbah. So that amen, that is not included in the sections that he's talking about. Now, it doesn't say why, what's the significance of this necessarily. Let's read on. Hiyoshet srichim kol yachid lomer kol hakoach teva. So we have to say all of the 28. Every individual has to say all 28. So therefore, when you're saying Yehei Shmei Rabbah like that, you have to have Kavanah. And this is the most important. It sounds like Yoser Chashav. However, he says, if you go faster, I guess, and you say the koach tevos before you get the shliach tzibur to be Messiah over there, or the Kudsha Berichu, he says, kevan shasayim lifnei rashatz, tzarech lomer ameim kashachachazan omer shmei the Kudsha Berichu. That's what he says. And therefore, since you got ahead, you say Yesh Mei Rabbah, and then he's coming behind you and saying Yesh Mei Rabbah. He says, and then what happens here is it becomes 5 different chamenim. This is what I didn't understand. And like this way, there's this letter chamesh pamim amen. V'hem kesidron kesedra chazeh yiskada v'yiskada shemei rabbah is 1. Ba'omla divara kirusei v'amim malchus v'yad v'bechana v'chana v'sheichei, that's 2. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayechon beis Yisrael v'agol v'zman kari v'imra amen, that's 3. Then you say Yisborach v'yistaba v'yispor v'yisroma v'yistasei v'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalal shemei the Kudsha Berichu. There's another amen that you say that there. I'm getting a little lost about the I remember I didn't look into it closely enough how many words are there. There la'ela min kol birchasav v'shirasav v'dushbachav v'nechmasav v'amiram v'alma. Then you're going to have another amen there, and that's going to be where we're going to stop right there. Okay, today I think it's the 28th of Teves. Okay, so let's stop right there, and maybe we'll look at that one more time, that last part.